LSU had 6 million yards versus us. And I'm sure Kirby's super mad about that.
They're still running.
They didn't have much rushing the ball, but they had 500 yards passing and still could only muster up 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's demoralizing.
Welcome to My God a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I are joined by Lamar, Lovelace, and George Foster from the 100 Sanford Podcast for the Dawgs Central crossover event everyone has been waiting for. As always, remember to check out store.mygodapodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at My God a Podcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, Oxia Time, at oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. All right, John, what was that? You're just showing off a bottle here. We got to know what that was.
I got the My God a Podcast Dawgs Central special. Weller special reserve. I picked it up today. Although I say that I picked up another bottle. So I had this is a bottle that I'm planning on taking to. We're heading to North Carolina for Carter's soccer. I think I mentioned that to you. Anyway, hey, surprise! Yeah. I'm going to be in your neck of the woods this weekend.
That's right. Okay, got it. And we got so if you're listening, you could be listening to this through My God a Podcast. You could be listening to this through 100 Sanford. Thus far, we've got Lamar. And hey, if you're listening on 1 Sanford, maybe you don't even know who I am either. So I'm Jim. You just heard John. And we've got Lamar. Lamar, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you guys doing tonight?
We are doing excellent. I brought this for you, Lamar, because it made me proud that I was able to actually recommend something to someone and they liked it. So I've got that Maker's 46 French oak.
There you go. See, I knew we were going to do this collaboration, so I was ready.
Yes.
I got my glass, right?
There you go. There we go.
I'm doing a little Van Winkle tonight.
Oh, man.
What?
No, I'm only joking. I just wanted to sound so cool on this show with you guys because you guys always bring something special. I said, let me look it up.
Well, I brought something special for our special guest, so I brought the special reserve.
Oh, that's
I
too
got
good.
4 roses, man.
That's excellent. That's a really good one. I do enjoy that one.
Which the yellow label or which one is it?
Yellow label.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the one. I think that's the only one that I have had. I know, John, you've been telling me about some of the other ones. I haven't had those yet.
So the yellow label is good. The one that I really enjoy that John and I have talked a good bit about is the small batch select. It's I guess for lack of a better description, the brown label. And then there's another step up, the limited edition, which is a clear. Like it's like a label that's just printed on the glass. They have small batch, which is I personally am not a fan of small batch, but it's really harsh for me. But small batch select is a fantastic. It's like a $50 price point bottle. That limited edition is like almost impossible to find. But
interesting.
Yeah, you know, you guys like talk about all these drinks that I can't get because here in Virginia, for whatever reason, there's nothing at the ABC. Nothing.
I'm like you though, Lamar, because North Carolina is the same thing. I think it's that ABC, everything being centralized, right? And you can only go here or there. John has like in Georgia where you can kind of get to know the store owner. Maybe they've got something behind the back or whatever. And like we don't have that luxury in the ABC states. So
we don't have that at all. You have to sign up for like updates or anything like that when they shoot out the little email and say, hey, get here within 20 minutes and the whole batch is going to be here. We get that here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. We had Eagle Rare last week, and I go in and I'm like, hey, you guys have Eagle Rare. And they're like, you just missed it. You just missed it like 20 minutes ago. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, we emailed it. We sent the blast out to everybody. And I'm like, really?
Really? Man.
I just missed it. So
I tell you what, Instagram, Facebook pages. Obviously, if you're on the email lists for the liquor stores or whatever, I get Jim and I talk about this. There's a liquor store that, since I'm heading to North Carolina this weekend, there's a liquor store called Southern Spirits on the way to on the way to Charlotte in South Carolina. It's like just over the border from North Carolina. they have like a weekly kind of like giveaway kind of thing. Not giveaway, but like, you know what I mean? Like they have like special bottles. Like you follow their Instagram page and it's like an Easter egg hunt inside their liquor store. They hide like special bottles all over the store, and everybody's like, you see everybody wandering around. It's like, oh, there's the Pappy. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
yeah,
nice.
They'll do that, and they have like an allocated Saturday, like once a month, which I still haven't done yet. But you have to like camp out. People like camp out and like line up, and so they put all this stuff out. That's when it's not hidden there, like it's right there. And so there's
you
like
walk in,
2 bottles of this, 5 bottles of that, or whatever. People go in and eat those up. But yeah, John, you may have to do that. Because you went last time you were up in Charlotte for soccer. Right? Last time Carter was up here, you guys did that?
We did do that. That was like in between games. But this time I'm like, yeah, you know what? I got my Weller. I'm not into the games. I don't want to mess with it. So yeah, I've gotten a little bit jaded. I was talking to John about that today. The bourbon game is just so ridiculous, man. It's so ridiculous. Like you can't get a lot of stuff that you could get like along like Eagle Rare. Like even like Eagle Rare is behind the counter here in Georgia, and it's like, come on, man, like you either got it or you don't. And like the Weller Green Label too, like it's fairly readily available. So like on one hand, like I kind of respect the fact that you go to the liquor store and everybody's on the same rules allegedly. What's on the shelf is on the shelf. But like in Georgia, like you walk into a store and it's like what's on the shelf is on the shelf, but like there might be some stuff in the back that if you hit someone on the right day or ask the right person that doesn't know enough, or, you know, like if you're John and you go to a liquor store that has like a point system where they like are tracking how much money you spend, and you can just like roll up into the place that you've been spending money on for 15 years. And they just like, yeah, come on back here. Here, you want to try some? You want to try
slide them a 20?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
it's so mysterious to me. Like I'm so new to this world. I'm still like learning it. It's kind of baffling to me, but
the bourbon world.
Yeah. Well, and like the buying of the bourbon. So, and I definitely didn't understand it until I watched a documentary that John recommended called Neat. It's on Hulu. And just, I mean, it makes sense in like the whole, like why things are rare, right? Because you're in like if you're drinking like a 10 years or even age 7 years or whatever, right? Like they had to decide how much of that to make 7 years ago, 10 years ago. And so they're having to constantly like project what the demand will be that far out in advance. So that's a lot why it's hard. And we're in this like bourbon boom right now. And, you know, if you're a 10 age barrel or 10 year age barrel, like that went in 10 years ago. Right. And like, they didn't know it was going to be like this. So I guess that's one of the issues that distilleries have, is trying to figure that kind of stuff out. So
what's the reason for the boom? I mean, me personally, I completely went off of beer. Anything else, it's all bourbon now. I know I just feel better in the morning. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't give me hangovers or headaches or anything like that. So I don't know why there's a big boom for it.
I think it's basically like, you know, people went away from like the light beers and things like that. You started seeing like the IPAs and all that stuff getting popular. And I think it's kind of the same way with bourbon, right? Like people started realizing that they could drink better. But there's also, you know, the marketing for it as well. You know, Jim, one of our fraternity brothers, he used to joke like marketing doesn't work. Like if you tell me to buy something, I'm not going to buy it or whatever. But like, I'll give you for instance, like Yellowstone, like there's, you know, Dutton, John Dutton was drinking Weller 12, and that was a product placement that was within, you never would have even seen it coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it's that kind of persona. So you got Mad Men was popular for a long time, and they were drinking bourbon. Like there's all these different shows, like the Sopranos. You know, Tony Soprano's like sitting around drinking whiskey and stuff like that. And so you have a lot of cultural factors that are playing into like hyping up the market. And I think that, you know, like I said, you see our fraternity brothers, Matthew McConaughey, you know, he's fronting Long Branch, and you got all these celebrities pushing their own brands of stuff. You got like The Rock, you know, with Terramana, and
right.
I think P. Diddy was like Ciroc. You know, everybody's got their own little thing that they're pushing, and the bourbon game just kind of became became like this big thing in suburban America. I feel like
works for me.
Yeah, I don't have. I'm with you though, Lamar. Like for me, like the feeling better piece, right? Because I had gone down that big into that craft beer realm and was drinking a lot of IPAs, and A, you don't have to drink as much bourbon, right? And then like B, I'm the same way as you. I feel better after that than as opposed to like an IPA and such. So
Jim didn't even drink bourbon until we started this podcast.
It's a true story. Season 1,
peer pressure's a bitch.
it was total peer pressure. Season 1, like John, you would have a bourbon and I'd have a Creature Comforts or some kind of beer, right? And then
it's just fantastic beer.
Finally,
well, I wasn't eating snacks until Graham came on ours.
I love it. Graham and his snacks, man.
Yeah, man.
Big
time snacker.
I got snacks. Lamar, you weren't really a big bourbon drinker during the podcast, so are you gonna be with us the whole time?
Yeah, man, I'll be good. I'll be good. Promise you.
You just stay away from the barrel proof. That's what we've learned on the one year podcast.
The barrel proof can be deadly.
Oh man, well I know. So in general, right? I mean, we were gearing up for the holidays. And we don't have a game like right away, not exactly imminent. And we had been talking forever about needing to do this, ever since we teamed up as part of Dawgs Central together. I think we've definitely we've all talked a lot more outside of the podcast, been like on the forum and texting. And I know we've learned so much from you guys. How plugged in you are, and I feel like it is probably kind of come through on the podcast a little bit too, just because I feel like we're more knowledgeable about things because of you, Lamar, and because of Trey and everyone involved, and we got George. It's been, I don't know, it's been a heck of a ride. It's been a lot of fun. I'm so excited to do this collaboration episode. Been looking forward to this all week. So
me too, man. I've been so excited. I mean, I worked today, but I didn't do anything in the office. Man, I hope my boss isn't listening to that. I'm just excited all day. I was like, man, finally some other people on the pod, especially my guys from My God, a podcast. So I was excited to do this. Couldn't wait. I listen to your show every week in the office, by the way, in the office. So,
yeah.
But yeah, man, Dawgs Central's blowing up, doing good things. And I think as a whole, the community is doing great things. Field Street, you got Graham doing what he's doing, Dog Stats, John Tweets Sports. So everything is doing great with Dawgs Central.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. Like you could really it's kind of choose your own adventure, right? Like you guys and Trey are super plugged into the program. Obviously, Dustin and Jason and those guys are big into recruiting. Graham and Dog Stats and Josh, they are X's and O's, and Graham's obviously super plugged in too. And then you got George, who's coming in with the alumni, and the guests that you guys have been able to pull on 100 Sanford is just phenomenal. What you guys have done with your programming is just amazing. It's super awesome to just be around everybody. We're all encouraging each other and supporting each other. It's really fun. And then Jim and I are just kind of hanging out making gifts,
Yeah, right. I mean, but that's the whole focus of Dawgs Central, though, right? To have a collective community of different pockets of things that people want to listen to. Hell, we had Maurice Claret on last week.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought we'd get so many negative comments about something that he said that was actually positive. I mean, it was a troll, right? For him saying, George is going to get dusted. I don't even know what he said now, but still, we had so many people dialed into that. There's George now coming on.
Here we go.
But we had so many people dialed into that episode, and but it brings a different style of listener too, right? Because they want to hear different things. They want to hear different things from George, and that's what I love about George being on the show, because he's able to bring a true understanding of the game. He's able to bring something that none of us are able to do, right? We're not alumni. I mean, well, you guys are alums, but football alums, right? We did not play between the hedges. You know what I mean? We didn't play at right,
We're not Letterman Club.
And when you ask him questions and he's able to give you details and, insight on things that normal people would not have access to, it's phenomenal, man. So it's been cool. I've loved the journey that we're all on so far.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Having George is amazing. By the way, a fantastic screenshot of George there. He looks like he's ready to line up and go, man.
I think I want that jacket though.
If
What's
I felt
that?
like it. I say if I felt like it. Sorry if my audio isn't what it should be. I'm on the move tonight, moving around. It's not my usual setup. I don't have the mic on. I'm driving. That's why y'all can't see my beautiful face in person. But hopefully you can hear me, man. What's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
We're good.
Just kicking it. We're kicking it, man. We love it.
What y'all talking about? What y'all talking about? I hope y'all was talking trash about me.
No, man, come on now. You know what we hadn't said yet is, this is Lamar's first time on My God a Podcast. This is George's second time, Lamar. So he's one up to you there. We had George on season 1 talking about the goalposts game.
Yeah, that was probably like 2020, wasn't it? Were we in the pandemic already?
It was, and that was like that was one of our. I mean, George, we were like episode 4. George was so nice. Like I sent George a DM, like, "Hey, would you talk to me about this?" And he was like, "Okay." I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah, that's usually how it goes, man. Like if I feel a good vibe, if you seem credible, you know what I'm saying, I don't care. I jump on. Like I did something today. I did something. I'm always doing something for somebody. If if I got yesterday, me and Charles Grant did something. It wasn't quite football related, but he had some new stuff going on. Yeah, man, I don't mind talking and giving my whatever I feel like is, true to life knowledge and my perspective on things. It could be football, it could be anything. I'll jump on and talk about it if I have the time.
He's a serial potter, man. That's what he is. He's a serial potter. I mean, I didn't even realize he was going to be on something today, and all of a sudden it popped up on the timeline on Twitter, and I'm like, all right. Again, I'm in the office, not doing anything, right, Jim? So I put it on in the background, and here he is. He's with what's
Ron Johnson.
Ron Johnson.
He does the Vikings. He covers the Vikings up there. He's a friend of Spice Adams, and I'm a friend of Spice. So he got to know me through Spice, and he reached out to me the other day because I said something about the Lions, and I think they played the Vikings the other day, and I said sure, since I played for the Lions. And it was a good talk, and he surprised me and brought Spice on today. I can't shake old Spice. He jumps on. I was talking to I was on a call with Joe Briggs one day, and he was talking. Joe Briggs works with the NFLPA, and he teaches. He's a professor sometimes. And I was talking to his class one day, and here comes Spice jumping on me. His Omega frat brother. I was like, I can't shake this guy.
Did you play with Spice anywhere, George, or do you just know him from the league? Or
I first met Spice in the Senior Bowl, so we go back that far.
Okay.
And so that's where I first met Spice, and then years throughout the league, different playing against them, and different events and stuff. We got to know each other. And got to know each other even more as social media became, bigger as well. And so, yeah, that's how I know Spice.
Okay. Yeah, I know you definitely turned me on to him as like a consumer of your social media, George. Like I always tell people like what a great follow you are. And like, so I didn't know about his social media stuff until you started like retweeting some of the stuff that he does on Twitter. And I can't remember if he was on Vine, which I feel like I have to credit George for like introducing me to Vine.
He did a little Vine.
A little Vine?
He did a little Vine. Yeah, he did a little Vine stuff. Spice is hilarious.
He is a nut.
I
love Spice.
So I don't think we had hit record yet. Again, like on My God a Podcast, we always say join in the conversation in progress. We were talking about ballers earlier. And he was on that. He had a little arc on that show where he was like playing himself. But anyways, I don't know if y'all remember that.
I don't remember that.
Spice was definitely on there with The Rock.
Yeah.
Yep,
oh man,
with The Rock. He's doing this thing, and I told him a long time ago that he was gonna pop because he was, he was basically built for everyone. You know what I mean? He's funny, nice guy. Everything he does is clean. Like it's already packaged and I want to see him take it to the next level. I want to see him all over the TV.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. We weren't talking trash about you, George. No, don't worry about that. I think right when you hopped on, we were talking about y'all's episode with Maurice Clarett that you just had and some of that, which was awesome, by the way. I was I don't know. I had never heard, like, I knew that he had gotten into public speaking and stuff, but I had not heard any of it really. He's got a cool story, had a lot. I don't know. I really enjoyed you guys having him on. It was really cool. And I guess the only thing I'll add is that, George, I am bummed that you guys didn't get to play against that team back in the day, because I would have loved to have seen that.
If I'm being honest with you, man, nobody could tell me different. I feel like we were peaking at the right time, and I feel like we would have beat anybody.
I agree.
You know what I mean? I just really feel that way. That Florida game was kind of a flukish type game. We shouldn't have lost any games that year. You know what I mean? That one game we lost, I feel like it was a fluke. We didn't even lose to one of the better teams we played that year.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Florida was, they weren't that great that year, and we ended up letting them get one. But yeah, I feel like we would have beat Ohio State or Miami that year.
Man, and that would have shut down a whole kind of narrative, right?
Yeah,
no question. No question. Then it took
a lot of the trash those people talk would be non-existent at this point.
Yeah, and the thing about it, what people don't understand is they talk a lot of trash about Georgia, and they can say, up until last few years, I'll even take it back to appearances that we didn't win, and in 20 when was that, 17, 18?
Yeah,
when we didn't win it. So up until then, all the trash that people would talk would be about, Georgia not being able to, finish the drill or, win a championship. But they never talk about how Georgia really, that may be true, but Georgia's a very, very, very historically solid program. Like I went back, I did some counting. I went back, a little while back. Went back about 50 years. Georgia probably has. I think Georgia might have in the last 50, 52, 53 years. Georgia has like 10 seasons of under 7 wins. That's it.
Yeah.
That's like 10 out of the last 50 plus years. That's rare. I don't think any of the top teams can say that. You know what I mean? They had very highs. A lot of the teams had really high highs. Then they had some really low, really bad lows. Georgia kind of remained, good, for lack of a better word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just couldn't get to great some years. But Georgia never. I don't recall. Especially in my lifetime, there might be one bad, in quotes, Georgia team. And that's good. You know what I mean? I get to go into every season knowing that I'm not gonna, I'm gonna want to watch every game.
Right.
You know what I mean? I guarantee you there are a few Florida fans this year that didn't quite want to watch every game. It's like, you know what I mean? Nobody wanted to bet. Nobody really wanted to go to the game. You know what I mean? They're not talking trash. It's like they don't quite care. Like I've cared about every Georgia game since I've been in it. You know what I mean? Because there's always a chance for us to win. I don't think everybody has been able to say that over the years.
I was going to say, because those times you're talking about were certainly before you got there, George, before like John and I got there to school. I mean, the last time we didn't make a bowl was, I think, 1996. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've got the longest active bowl game streak going still, I believe. So,
well, think about Ohio State. I mean, they talk all the crap that they talk, but it took them 34 years to get to their national championship in 2000. Right. I think it was 1974. It might have been 36 years, something like that. The Maurice Clarett years. So it took them a while, but we're here. We're here now.
Yeah.
We're about to find out. We're about to find out, right?
About to find out. Let's get it on.
And it's strictly up to Georgia if they want to repeat or not.
Man,
the remaining teams aren't. We just call it what it is. You know, they aren't equipped to beat a Georgia team that's firing on all cylinders. You know, it's just not gonna. For me, it's simple. Like, you know, it's kind of like physics and whatnot. It's like the team is better. So if the team that's better plays their best ball, you're not gonna win.
Right.
And Georgia is better than all three teams that are left in it right now, and I don't think it's close. And they're, you know, and the crazy thing, I don't think Georgia peaked this season. You know what I mean? They just did what they had to do to win these games, and hopefully we're going to see, you know, in the next, you know, month or less than a month, see this team peak and get another national championship trophy.
Man, dude, you just made the hair on my neck stand up.
Yeah, seriously. So Jim, he put
I
into.
I speak with conviction about things that I'm very convicted about, and you know, if I feel like I'm right, I'm going to speak with conviction on it. And I feel like this year they are just they've been better than everyone all year, and they're definitely better than the three teams that's vying for a national championship. Now it's up to them to go out there and play. You know what I mean? You're talking about 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds that, you know, don't know their left hand from their right hand some days. You know what I mean? So anything can happen.
And 25 now.
Yeah, 25. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. you got a point there.
Jim, I think George just put into alumni, like Letterman alumni, eloquent words. What we've always been saying is that the only team that can beat Georgia is Georgia. You don't turn the ball over, you're probably going to win this game.
Yeah, they just play such sound defense that it's hard for teams to score. So it would take a really, really down game for Georgia. You just think about it. You got a team that, you know, for the majority of the year gave up about 10 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be hard pressed to hold Georgia to less than 30 points. You know what I mean? And they're giving up 10 to everybody. You know what I mean? On average, it's not really, you know, like, and it doesn't even matter about stats. Like, LSU had 6 million yards versus us. And I'm sure Kirby's super mad about that.
They're still running.
You know, they didn't have much rushing the ball, but they had 500 yards passing and still could only muster up 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's demoralizing. Like you look at that stat sheet and you're like, how did we not come up with more than 20 points? It's because Georgia can win however they need to win. You know, whatever the recipe calls for, they got the ingredients in the cabinet, so to speak. So
we need George in the locker room for this hype speech. we need him talking to the players like right now.
They got it covered, man. Kirby got some of the best pregame speeches you're gonna find. I love how that guy brings it.
Well, you know what's interesting, George, because you talked about the players and you know, we're just better right now. I go all the way back to the beginning of the year when Kirby said this was his best staff, period. I think that outside of anything else allows his team to be better than everybody else in the nation, because you mentioned even when they have down games, I think the coaching lifts them up, right? Even if the guys are down and they're injured, the coaching lifts them up. When they give up 5,000 yards and 30 points, the coaching still puts them in position where they can bend but not break, right? I mean, this has been a completely dominant team from the player aspect to the staff aspect to everything. I mean, it's been phenomenal for me.
And with a lot of staff turnover too, right? I mean, you lose your defensive coordinator, you lose your offensive line coach. I mean, you lose your wide receivers coach, you lose a lot of guys.
It's 22 people that play at a time, and you lost 15 of them in the draft. Like it doesn't, like, that's wow. And to think they're back in it, you know what I mean, the very next year, that's pretty wild, because that typically doesn't happen. That's a lot of turnover for a team to lose that many caliber of players. Like, you just think about, to get, you know, I'm very fortunate, and I understand that being a NFL draft pick was like this. You're one of the few people in history to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost 15 of those caliber people, humans that walk the earth. They lost 15 of them.
Humans that walk
that's
the earth.
absurd. They lost 15 humans that could play national football. You know,
And guess
professional
what? And guess
football.
what?
Like,
And guess what?
And they're
They're back. And the majority of them are freshmen. They've got so
And
many freshmen taking snaps, man.
Scary,
John,
right?
see, that's another thing I wanted to get into before I got off track was about what Lamar said about the coaching staff. To do what they are doing with these many young guys is really impressive because, you know, these guys are, you know, like I said, they're teenagers. You know what I mean? I'm a dad to 4 teenage girls. They are crazy. Teenagers are nuts. And they got those guys doing what they do. I'm pretty sure they have their moments where they, you know, teenage knuckleheads and, you know, and just dumb. But they got them going in the right direction, and they've done it all year, and that's very impressive because they're a young team, and it's you know, you don't like to get ahead of yourself, but like, what's a reason why they shouldn't be better next year? Unless they poop the bed at quarterback, you know, and we don't know that, and I don't feel like they're gonna poop the bed at quarterback. Those guys have been sent back, you know. All the quarterbacks we'll have next year have been in the system. You know what I mean? So unless they poop the bed at quarterback, which I don't think will happen, what reason they have to not be better next year with all the experience they bring into the 23 season?
Yeah, no,
if you look at it,
that's the only one.
They could actually be as good on defense as they were last year, next year, which allows you to bend but not break even at quarterback. Even if you had a Beck who doesn't play maybe quote unquote as well as Stetson played the last few years, or even if you went completely young and you went off the reservation, you said, okay, we're going to put Gunner back there. I'm just using the name out there, but still they're going to be so dominant on defense that I think they're allowed to make natural mistakes that anybody would make, you know, going into next season. So I'm excited about the whole program right now.
Well, I think like one of the phrases I've heard a lot lately is around like it being like playing complementary football, right? And so like, and that's the thing, like what we saw, like George, what you hit on earlier about with the LSU game, it's like, okay, well, they scored points. And then it was like, okay, well, now we can do that now too, right? I mean, they never scored they never had back-to-back scores against us except for the field goal at the end of the first half, and then they scored the first touchdown in the second half. Other than that, we matched them touchdown for like whenever they scored a touchdown, we matched it with a touchdown too. It was like that was kind of the concern a couple of years ago ish. It's specifically in 2020, I would say, right, where it's like, oh yeah, Georgia's got this great defense, but what happens when the other team can score? And we saw that now, right? I mean, you know, we can win in multiple kinds of ways. And then with all the defensive guys, I'm going to give you a stat, George. Like, you talked about all the humans that left after last year.
That roamed the earth.
We had talked like early on, and I got a podcast like probably like the season preview about like, you know, the defense could take a step back, right? And like, but the offense is going to take such a step forward that should cover for it. But this defense, on average, against Power 5 teams, they are scoring 14 points less against us than they average against other Power 5 teams. I mean, that's crazy.
That's crazy, man.
2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns. You're 2 touchdowns in the hole, bro.
What's interesting though, when you watch them play, though, I mean, you can watch our defense play the same defense that another team is playing, and it looks completely different though. I mean, you're saying to yourself, like, do we have 12 or 13 guys on the field? Because it looks like George always says, like we're choking teams out, and I don't know what it is. Yeah, man, and I think Tennessee wide receiver said it best, right? That we were just so physical the entire game, though. You can't go 1 or 2 snaps and be physical and then kind of go back to the sideline. No, we're physical the entire game, continue to choke people out, and then eventually they give up. So it's pretty interesting to me.
The other day, Jeff Schwartz, former NFL lineman, does a lot of media stuff. He posted one of the Georgia plays. He's also one of the voters for the Joe Moore Award for top offensive line in the country. You know, the Dawgs and Michigan finalists. Did they do that already?
When you mentioned that, I was thinking the same thing, George. I don't know.
Yeah.
John, we're going to have to
Anyway,
put glasses on
he posted a clip, and you see, like, they did this sweep, man. And you got Big Darnell coming around the corner. Then you had Rosemary get in there and dig out a guy. And, like, I'm talking about they putting guys in the dirt on the perimeter, like the receivers. Like, and that leaks into the whole team. You're not going to beat a team that's that physical and that committed to being physical, every play. Like, they're committed to it, and, they're going to be tough to beat. You know what I mean? Because it's rare. So I can see if it was a common thing, then, but it's not. It's a rare thing. Guys, typically perimeter guys don't like to get dirty. You know what I mean? These guys, they don't care. They are with it.
Yeah, dude. Like you look at the offensive line, like even if you're comparing Michigan's offensive line or whatever, but like we've got blockers all over the field that are not even considered part of that unit.
We've got an extra tackle in Darnell Washington.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, geez.
Well, it wasn't too long ago that people were saying, add 10 or 15 pounds to him, he'd be a Pro Bowl left tackle, right? So.
Yeah. George, do you subscribe to that? Is that accurate with Darnell?
No, I think he's a tight end.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Now, if he wanted to, he has the frame. You know what I mean? I assume he has the arm length. He has the frame. He probably could if he wanted to. Mm-hmm. But I think he has a shot to play in the NFL as a tight end. So, why not?
Right. I did look it up. It looks like the Joe Moore Award has not been
it has not
given out yet.
I was gonna say.
Late December is what they said on their site. So
they award the Heisman Trophy before they award the Joe Moore Award. That's crazy.
Right. Hey, John, that was a pro segue.
They need to give it to the dog. They need to give it to Georgia this year though, because I feel like I think they got screwed at least within the last 5 years. I think they've had some good lines. I can't remember if it was last year. I know last year, it was either last year or the year before. I feel like they got screwed. So kind of like how Brock didn't have the highest stats this year, but they made amends for last year with the Mackey with the Mackey Award. So hopefully they do the same with these dog linemen because they deserve it.
Yeah, and I mean, shame on us. We were questioning the Stacey Searles stuff earlier in the year, right?
Well,
John and I, not you guys.
Understand, like there was reason because the guys, they weren't playing up their potential. You got to wonder, okay, is it the leader? You know what I mean? Searles has a good track record. You know what I mean? But you just wondered if he was, doing what he was supposed to do in regards to this unit this year. And I got to give it to him, man. He's got them guys playing good ball.
I was thinking the same thing, man. On the way home, I was thinking the same thing about Searles.
They're playing good ball, man. Really good ball. I'm proud of that unit. And they got some pups behind. The guys that can potentially leave this year. You know what I mean? I hate to see guys go, but the name of the game is to pay them bills, and them bills is coming, Jack. So why not get a great job like playing offensive line in the NFL? So if we lose some guys, we got some guys to to make up for them.
George, as the resident big man on the call right now, I'm going to go ahead and apologize to all of the University of Georgia offensive linemen and staff because I was giving them hell earlier this season. and Graham, you and Graham have helped educate me a little bit on some of this, like as to why I felt the way that I felt, and it sounds like that. Based on what we've seen, and I'm not an X's and O's guys, and the gap in the what was the gap in zone? Yeah. And it seemed like that we've kind of figured that out. And to his credit, I told Jim after one of the games, I think it was it the Tennessee game, Jim?
Yeah, Tennessee. I
saw my wife and I were there, and we were hanging out, and we were just kind of hanging out after the game, and I was walking across Sanford, and I happened to see Searles and BMAC walking out into that recruit area, the little landing area up there on Sanford. And I saw him with some folks and I was like, "Hey, Stacy, go Dogs." And I told Jim, I was like, "I should have said, I'm sorry." Y'all are killing it right now.
Oh, man. Well, and I think too, like, another thing that I wanted to hit on, George, with you, because I want to get your thoughts on this it's around like rotating, right? Because, and also like, I don't know, rotating and then also recruiting and even re-recruiting, right? Because last offseason we had Amarius Mims in the portal, right? We thought he was going to be gone. He ends up staying. He's here at Georgia. And he hasn't been a starter, but he's been rotating. And then, we have McClendon go down in the SEC championship game, and hopefully he's okay. That's still kind of up in the air, it sounds like. But like, to have Mims have that experience throughout the year and be able to step right in, and I know you like experienced that. I think probably both ways, right? Because I know like you had your hand injury your senior year, and I remember when we talked before, you talking about the way you and Jonas used to rotate, and like I think like Jonas would be left tackle like when you were younger, and then like you'd come in, you'd play left tackle, and Jonas would slide into guard, stuff like that. Yeah. So I don't know, like
we talk about it all the time, me and Jonas. You know what I mean? He always brings it up because he's, if you know Jonas loves to talk and he gets animated, and he always talks about the time, when I had to come in, and he'll use it. He said his Jonas voice. You scoot over juice. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? You have to be willing to back up. You have to be ready to come in the game and play the best ball, because you don't want to be the drop off. You don't want to be the reason the team stalls. You never want to be that.
Yeah, for sure.
Amen.
Yes, indeed.
John, do you want to hit your late breaking or what just happened? We have some real time SAS, I guess, official news or something official.
I'm not worried about the Big Ten, man. Big Ten, you go pound sand.
What's the news?
UCLA basically got a rubber stamped approval. Cal is not going to challenge them moving to the Big Ten. So sounds like UCLA is going to be part of the Big Ten now.
Oh, nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like,
they're still not going to win. It doesn't matter. It's just a money play.
Jim, we can edit that part out.
No, that's okay. We'll do it. They gave us some good banter.
I do want to go back to something that y'all said, since I don't know where we're going to go from here, if we're going to talk about Heisman or what, but I will say y'all are talking about like some of these guys don't want to talk leading up on the game. And it's something that I'll give you guys, like every time y'all have some of these cats on that are from opposing teams, right? Like Joe Hamilton, Maurice Claret are the two that come to mind most recently. Most everybody have given y'all score predictions, right? Those two didn't give you any score predictions. It's almost like your guests are learning that they're not going to give score predictions. And that to me is just like the icing on this season's cake, is that we are demoralizing people to the point where their illustrious stars do not want to give a score prediction because they know what's going to happen, bro.
Well, John, we're not
going to hold against Maurice yet. He said he'll give his prediction later.
Yeah, he did.
We're going to hold him to it. You know what I mean? Joe knew what was up. You don't want to. Like, you knew your team was going to get pounded. You're like the best player. It's like Calvin Johnson, then Joe Hamilton. Like, you're the best player that they ever had, and you can't go against your squad like that. So we allowed them to live, because that would have been kind of awkward.
Well, the teams that thought they had a chance actually gave a prediction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ramon Foster with Tennessee. You had Ryan Clark with LSU, right? They really thought that they had a shot. So that's the reason why they gave a prediction.
Takeo even gave us a score.
That was
Takeo, yeah.
Yeah, but that's family.
We knew that was going to go to.
So I feed off of that though, because I'm feeling that myself. Like I told Jim, like Jim's like, you need to get better friends, but I've got a plethora of folks. I live in Marietta, which is Georgia country, right? But I know a lot of folks that are from other areas, and we had Cincinnati guy talking trash last year, and even he's been quiet as a mouse ever since then. But I've got Ohio State folks, even my Michigan buddy that I've been friends with for years, and he's even he's not responding to any of the texts that I'm sending him. I'm trying to poke the bear. I'm trying to get some kind of energy going because I think that we both know what's going to happen. We've been talking about it for weeks. It's like, man, the writing's on the wall, dude. Like, it's going to be us in the final, like, period, end of story. And you better be ready because there's going to be some trash talking coming.
John, I think it goes back to what George already said. It's already forewritten. We know what's going to happen. These guys know what's going to happen.
Right.
And I think that when it really comes down to it, let's put it this way. If we weren't as good as what we are, how open and honest would you guys really be with your fan base, with our listeners? Would you actually say, George is going to lose this game, or I'll pick a loss? I mean, would you do it?
Listen, we're in a good spot, and like I said, I mentioned the last 50 years, we're in a good spot. We've been in a fortunate spot as to where my truth can line up. You know what I mean? Georgia has been. They've had enough talent to beat everybody, whether they did it or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've had no issue over the last 20 years, saying, okay, Georgia can win this game. You know what I mean? So I don't have to make fake, predictions, that I don't believe in. So we're lucky in that regard.
We need to get you to get that through to your former teammate David Pollock, George. But that's okay. Although he picks us now, he does usually pick us now.
He does.
Now it makes sense.
He has to do a little. He has to be a little different.
He's got a politic.
He has to do it a little bit different. I did learn that about television. I've done some television and done some television training. Like he has to do that. You know what I mean?
Got it. Okay.
But he gives his honest opinion though. He's pretty good at, what he does. You know what I mean? So, I don't feel too bad about it when he doesn't, straight up just boost us.
Right.
I would say that we've been pretty honest. I mean, we lived through the Cheney year, right? Like we lived through the Coley year, right? Like, Jim and I, like, I know that like I said, I apologize. I'll eat my crow. Like, I was super questionable about the offensive line. I told Jim earlier this season, I was super concerned about our ability to get a yard when we needed one. You know what I mean? Like I was concerned about our short yardage game, but that has changed in the last 3-4 games. You know what I mean? Like, it's not super concerning to this point. And I think there's some elements that, like, there's stuff that we're holding back or whatever, but like, I'll go. I mean, Jim, like, we're hyping up Stetson. We're on the Stetson train, but like, there was a time when we were questioning, like, what was going on, dude. Like, we were questioning it, and I try to be real, even though we started this podcast in literally the golden era of Georgia.
Yeah, John. Let me tell you this. It's pretty interesting because this was before we started our 100 Sanford podcast. I happened to run into Jim Chaney, and we were talking, and this was before the national championship. Okay. And he says to me, I said, Coach, what's your thoughts on the team? And he said, this is the best team that I've ever seen. And I was like, yeah, right. Come on. He said, if they don't win a national championship this year, they'll never win a championship. He said, and then they're going to go on a run. He told me that before the national championship last year, before the season even started. And he said, it doesn't even matter who's at quarterback. I was like, wow. So, I mean, it goes to show you, yeah, man. I mean, some of the, you got to apologize to some of these guys. They know exactly what they, what they need to know. So,
yeah, I'll say, so this is the third season we've been doing this. Neither of us have ever picked Georgia to lose a game, but also think about the last 3 seasons too, right? I mean, that's the end of the many losses anyway.
You don't really have cause to pick Georgia to lose. Yeah. You know what I mean? You jumped on at a great time. You've been easy podding. You know what I mean?
Right.
You haven't had the pod, in '97. What did Jim Donnan, 7 games or whatever, 7, 8 games.
I was waiting for it. Hey, no, to George's point, like, what he's saying, Jim, is that we just need Kirby to just stay around forever.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
we have a saying, man. Like, and I've got the GIF. Like, in Kirby we trust. There's a text message that we have, Jim and I have, with some folks that, in Kirby we trust. And I find myself going back to that. Anytime we're questioning stuff, Jim's like, yeah, but John, like, Kirby's the coach. And it's like, yeah, okay, fair.
Right.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Trust him to figure it out. Yep. I guess just trying to think of what else. We got a bunch of things that we kind of, I think, wanted to hit on. I'll go to, we mentioned the Heisman. Like, do you think they got it right? Because so I know, like, at least our podcast, you guys are the same, right? I think last time we both had an episode, we knew the finalists, but we didn't know who won. Any grievances from anyone?
They probably picked the right guy.
Yeah.
I think they picked the right guy given the context. I think that, like I said before, like they picked the Heisman before they picked the best offensive line unit in the country. Mm-hmm. I think they're seriously doing they're seriously doing the guys that haven't played as tough of a schedule throughout the season. They're doing them a disservice when you've got guys that have played tougher schedules. Like, to me, like, you shouldn't give the best player in the country award until the end of the season. That's just my take.
Yeah.
I don't know. Williams was spectacular, though. I mean, well, he had spectacular plays. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. I think if you really look at consistency, you're probably going to go more towards Stetson. You're going to go more towards Max Dugan. I think he was very consistent throughout the year, but Williams was that splash guy, right? I mean, heck, if he doesn't get hurt, do they beat Utah?
Yeah, it's a fair question.
You know what I mean? So, and then he has the Heisman moment. But I think what really helped him even more was that he's got the busted finger. I think, personally, I think he didn't come out of the game because of the Heisman. They wanted him to win the Heisman. He's hobbling all over the field, all that. He's the tough, gritty guy, So, but I mean, he played well throughout the year, and he elevated a program that was down. So you got to give it to him.
Yeah, I also think that it's hard to really gauge this award in this day and age, particularly with teams like Georgia. Like, I mean, we joked about it, but like, look at Stetson's stats against, like, the Power 5 teams. Yeah. Look at how many snaps he's taken in the second half. You got guys like Hooker that are out there, like, just bombing, Vandy, in the fourth quarter when they're up big, like, these guys that are just piling on stats when, Stetson's like, he's having a smoke. He's having a dip in the fourth quarter, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to swallow, because in my opinion, like, Stetson's Heisman moments are about to come.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I feel like he's gonna play really good in these playoffs.
He's going to make a statement against Ohio State. Let me tell you that. Little spoiler alert for the Ohio State preview.
Well, and he's got the controlled weather environments, right? Like, I feel like that's where he excels, man.
Exactly.
He has excelled when he's played, in Mercedes-Benz, the national championship game, the Orange Bowl, right? So I'm excited to see more of that for sure. I think that's fair. That makes sense.
You got to deliver that milk, man. Can't spoil.
That's right.
I can't spoil.
I love it. I do think the whole should he be there or whatever, that all ended up being kind of much ado about nothing when you saw, like, with the final. I mean, it was a runaway for Caleb Williams. Like, I feel like that was all just kind of weird posturing, I guess. But
I gotta say that it's funny to see the Tennessee folks freak out about it, though.
It was funny.
They got issues over there.
Yeah.
They got issues.
Complete issues.
Yeah. We got a couple of things. I don't want to end on this. So I did want to hit on this, but we definitely wanted to just say, thoughts and prayers, condolences to Mississippi State, to the Mike Leach family, losing Mike Leach this week. He's been a constant figure on this podcast somehow, even though, we don't play them much, but we played Mississippi State in our first season, and we dug up the clip of when he had like a cameo on Friday Night Lights, where he was talking to Coach Taylor, who that actor, by the way, Kyle Chandler, went to Georgia, by the way, if anyone didn't know that. But so we had dug that up. We talked about that. And so we're always talking about, his quirks and everything. So, rest in peace to Coach Leach. I mean, and an offensive innovator, right? I mean, that offense is all over the place now, really, or elements of it at every level, really. So
I'm curious if George, do you have any interactions with, have you had any interactions in your recruitment or in the guys that you coached with, or that you coached, that played with, that were coaches that might've been in his branches?
Not that I can think of. I probably, in hindsight, I probably go back and look at where he was. And probably know some guys. But I didn't know him. I didn't know him personally. Just a sad situation, that it, happened so abruptly. I pray for his family and friends. That sucks. You know what I mean? I lost my little brother on Christmas Day a few years ago, and it's not fun on the holidays to lose your loved one. So I lift that family up, man. I know it's tough.
Man, yeah, definitely. Oh, thanks for that,
That's
George.
true. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's been amazing to me is just how amazing the Twitter community is. Like, there's a lot of shtick and a lot of stigma around like how awful Twitter can be from a political standpoint. But like, this if you're a college football fan, like, you probably have people that are retweeting or connected and sharing, and I mean, it's just amazing to me because like some of the Dog fans that are like somehow gathering some of these links from people that I don't follow. I don't follow some of these writers and on the West Coast or whatever, but they're sharing all these anecdotes about Leach, and it's just so amazing that I didn't hear any of these stories when he was alive. And to a certain extent, it's a little sad because he sounds like by and large, like, we always kind of thought he was a great guy. He was a little quirky, but like everything that I'm reading is just how good of a dude, generally just a good dude and a good person, a good human being. He was.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm hearing the same thing, John. It's funny because you say that. I was thinking the same thing about how magnificent, quite honestly, sports can be. And how, we come together, we have these podcasts, right? We have shows, we have fans, we're on Twitter, Instagram, and everything else. But when there are things that happen off script, so to speak, how the community does come together. You know what I mean? Like, there's no hate, there's no hate mail or anything like that coming from different people, but everybody's really trying to lift up Mississippi State, lift up the family. And like you mentioned, I mean, heck, I was driving into work and this morning, all they're doing is talking about Mike Leach and all the different stories about him. And when you really think about it, he truly was in the pocket of where he should be, right? Where he could really express who he was. I couldn't see him at a major university only because I think they would muffle him, right? I think we got the best sound bites because he was at a Mississippi State. He can control the narrative. Washington, he can control the narrative. Washington State.
And it brings the attention that they probably want.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Ole Miss has the attention with Lane, and you're in the West. Perfect. And you're in the shadow of the LSU program, the Alabama program. He probably made it interesting to watch Mississippi State versus on the field, with some of his offenses, and off the field with some of his things at the podium.
Yeah.
But guys, I got to jump off. It was good to get on with you guys. We got to do this again. I like this vibe. we got to do this again, man. But y'all be nice to Lamar when I jump off here, man. And hold it down, Lamar.
I got you, boss.
Yeah, you about to say something, John?
I was just gonna say thanks, George. I think I'm gonna put that on my resume, by the way. So
seriously. George Foster asked to do this again.
It's good stuff, man.
Awesome. Thanks, George.
Boss.
Be good, George.
Right now.
Too good. Man, George cracks me up.
Yeah, man. He's always got me laughing. I mean,
I tell you what, man, George is the coolest UGA football alumni out there. Because I'll tell you, like, we run this podcast, and I'm a little envious of some of the guests that y'all have been able to pull because of his contacts and your contacts. Like, we've reached out to folks, and like, sometimes we don't get a peep, man. But George just jumps right in, man. Both feet.
You know what, though? I will tell you this. I'll tell you this. We are in the golden era. Right. I mean, I think a lot of people are more willing to stick their neck out there and talk about it or come on a podcast. Or I think people just, the energy, the vibe, everything is good right now around the university, around the program. I mean, heck, I reached out to Josh Brooks, and I didn't think he was going to come on the show last year, but he did. He was like, heck yeah, I'll come on. And, he's been a friend of the program ever since. So it's just a matter of hitting it right at the right time. But, if you guys ever need anybody, let me know.
George said yes to us because he said he liked our vibe. So again, on the resume. Go to the resume.
On the resume.
On the resume.
I did just want to take a moment to remind everyone that season 3 of My God, a Podcast is presented by Oxia Time. Oxia Time is a custom watch company, and you've got to go check out their 2021 Georgia National Championship watch collection. And in fact, you also need to check out their 2022 college football playoff collection. So John and I both have the 2021 National Champions watches. They're stainless steel, very nice, got the Power G on the face. And these are self-winding Swiss-made watches. They've also got a blackout watch. They've now got a ladies watch. Like I mentioned before, there is already a watch for each team that's made the 2022 CFP. So we've always got links to these in our show notes. We have a link to each of the individual watches. So definitely go and check those out. Or you can just head over to oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. And still through Christmas from now, OxyTime has also partnered with our friends over at Bulldogs Battling Breast Cancer. So you can use the code BBBC to get 10% off of one of these timepieces. And that'll also help out our friends and, provide to a great charity that's run in Athens. So be sure to go check them out. Well, you guys want to hit, there's a couple of things that I think we wanted to hit on like news wise, but I also want to, if you're okay with Lamar, delve into a little bit about like what we were talking about a while ago when I had the, should we be recording moment.
Hey man, wherever we want to go with it. I'm cool.
Which I think John was your question, right? Which was like, or maybe it was a statement of like, holy cow, Lamar, you are like so plugged in and like how impressed we are with that stuff. So I don't know, man. Just like
let's start it this way. We can segue into that. Okay. It's my favorite question, Lamar. What is your Georgia story? What's your connection? Like, how are you know that we're alumni? You know how we are. Yeah. Like, what's your story? What's your Georgia story?
My family is from LaGrange, Georgia. That's my story. It's interesting that my whole life growing up, I knew all my family roots were in Georgia. And I will be 100% transparent and honest. I hated it because we went on a family trip one time from up north, came down and I told my youngest son the other day, we stopped at this restaurant and the lady says, what do you, she goes, "Want baked potato fry?" And I said, "What? Baked potato fry?" And I was like, "What is she saying, Daddy?" And I was little. And my dad says, "She's saying, do you want baked potato or fries, son?" I was trying to get used to the accent, right? Because I'd never been down here. So I hated it from that point on, right? But then, you
don't sound like you're from LaGrange. I'll give you that.
Man, right? So then I got deeper into my family roots, and it was like Georgia just kept calling me, man. My dad, he's actually a Pitt alum. My wife is a Pitt alum. Sister and brothers are Pitt alum. It's crazy. And, I went to a state school up in Pittsburgh and then I went to Purdue for my master's, but Georgia just kept calling me. So I just kept following the team. And, it's always been in my blood. So, but yeah, family roots are LaGrange, Georgia. We had some family land there and the great grandfather ended up moving the family up north, buying land up north and, starting the same thing up right outside of Pittsburgh. So that's my tie-in with Georgia. And
that's awesome. Where outside of Pittsburgh are you in terms of like
the family land?
You downtown? Like where are you at in Pittsburgh?
No, out in Pittsburgh, we were in Murraysville / Penn Hills area. Quite honestly, what's funny is that we just offered Dante Cephas, a scholarship to transfer from Kent State. He's from my old high school in Penn Hills. But yeah, we have family land up outside of Pittsburgh. It's called Leechburg. It's actually called Lovelace Hill because we have so much land up there. So it's a bunch of family members that live up there. And we didn't live there. We lived outside of the city there. But yeah, right outside of Pittsburgh.
That's funny. So I have clients in Greensburg.
Yeah, man. That's right beside Murraysville.
I was about to say, do you know Smale Automotive Group? I mean, this is totally off.
Yeah, I do.
So Smale Automotive Group, like the Smale family, like they've been clients of ours for like 10 years plus. Like anyway, I inherited the account, but the guy that runs the marketing there I work with. But I've been there multiple times. Like I went to Oakmont for some of their like charity events and stuff.
The country club, Oakmont Country Club.
Yeah. They had the next one that they were going to do. They haven't done it since COVID, but the next one that they were going to do, I talked to the marketing guy about playing Oakmont.
Yeah.
The next time I go up there, I'm going to play Oakmont. I'll hit you up next time I'm up there.
Nice, bro. Nice. Yeah, that's a good place, man. My dad, he used to work for Westinghouse back in the day, and he had carte blanche to get into Oakmont anytime he wanted to because Westinghouse and their ties. But I never got a chance to play it. It's very tough. And now I got this herniated disc. I can't golf the way I used to golf, but it would be nice to play it. But heck, I'll be your caddy.
Nice. I'll let you know.
I'll drink the bourbon and you can swing the sticks, right?
Let me tell you something. I've been to some places like that down south, and like Augusta, like that is old money, man.
Yeah, it is.
That is you literally walk in the building and you can feel it in the air.
It's thick, right?
It's thick.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's a good place though, man. It's a prestigious course. The area is nice, like you said. Old money, even all around Oakmont, it's old money, man. It's not like Augusta, but yeah. No, it's not Augusta. It's definitely not Augusta, but it's still old money.
That's fine. I didn't know. I lived in LaGrange very briefly, Lamar, when I was younger. So not that I know your family was gone at that point, but
what's sad about it is that when you come up 20, I would tell my kids all the time because we lived in Houston, so I drive back through Atlanta and go up north, right? I would say, do you see this, this land right here? And I think, what is it? The Kia plant is over there. Some of our land was the Kia plant. Like some of our family did not pay taxes on the land, so they lost some of the land. So there's still some family that are there.
Gotcha.
I heard through the grapevine. I'm not sure. I mean, this could be another plug. And Nick Chubb is related. But I've been trying to reach out to him, but Nick doesn't hit me back. I don't know. I'm like you guys. Nobody hits me back, whenever I need them. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens eventually.
Chubb is a man of few words. Of few words.
Right. I got to find somebody to reach out to him. But yeah, I got a lot of family still there.
Okay. If there were people that did not have Twitter, like I would think Chubb would be one of them.
Yeah, right. That's facts on that one.
Well, that was like his locker room joke, right? Like when he was still at Georgia, someone was making fun of him in the locker room about like not having Instagram, and he was like, and his response was like, "You ever seen an ad for a Lamborghini?" He's like,
"Exactly."
Advertise. That's rare these days, man. Everybody wants some shine. So when you find a guy that's that humble, just does his job. I mean, it's amazing, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of ads for Lamborghinis. I have Lamborghini. I've got McLaren clients, bro.
Nice. You must be rolling around with Trey.
No, I'm not rolling around with Trey. We joke about that. Trey's not here, but like, right. Part of me wanted him to hop on so I could chop it up with him about some of the automotive stuff, because
he still owes people Hellcats, so he's like in hiding. He told everybody, as long as we're in the natty, he's giving free Hellcats to everybody. It's like Trey. Now all of a sudden he disappears. It's like chirps, He
was solidly in the Henny on that one.
That's one of the best uses of that, like frame this tweet or whatever, or make this a quote with Trey's face.
Every time I see it, it's like I feel like that, like Sarah McLachlan's got to be on. Like,
I know he hates Dustin for that, man, because I think Dustin created it. Yes. Hey, he threw himself into it. He put it on the chat like with 60 or 70 people. We win. I'm giving everybody Hellcat. So. I think they stopped producing them, right? I think they're stopping this year.
They're about to stop. I'm bummed because I actually the Challenger was which I don't know. I am not like a car buff or anything, but is that the Challenger, the Hellcat, or the Charger? Because I know they have like
Charger.
Okay, the Charger. Okay.
It's the Charger, yeah.
Okay, but I think aren't they stopping on both of them? I know they're not gonna make the Challenger anymore for sure. I think next year is the last year. I always wanted one of those when they came out, but I don't have anything remotely like that.
I'll be honest.
I just think they look cool.
I'll be honest, in the automotive space, the Stellantis, it's now called Stellantis, but like the FCA brand is kind of like the noisy neighbor or whatever, like it's kind of like the little annoying pest. So yeah. It wouldn't surprise me, and nobody really pays attention to it, to be honest with you. So, like,
Gotcha.
I don't know. It's not going to matter. Like, they're in trouble. The Stellantis is in trouble.
So I guess, Lamar, you hear the family roots calling you, and you get into I don't know, you all feel Georgia pulling, you become this big fan. But then how do you then, like, because I feel like you are, I mean, just like through like networking and meeting people, like you're so plugged in, like you're a fan, but you're like so knowledgeable and like have all this information. I don't know. I guess just like
not an alumni, right?
Nah, you know what's funny is that a lot of people want to talk to these players and everything. I talk to family members.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I talk to like a lot of family members of recruits prior to them getting to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, heck, I probably got a lot of them already on speed dial, that I can talk to and so forth. And not only that, since I have a younger son who plays, well, heck, he's only playing flag football now, but he loves football. I mean, he's insatiable. He's been coming in the room like 30 times since we've been on the show.
Does he like Carter? Does he want to just get on and like say hello or say something?
Yeah, he doesn't really want to come on, but it's more or less like, okay, Daddy, who do you have on tonight? Like when we had Champ Bailey on, I was like, and he plays DB, he was like, I said, buddy, this is Champ Bailey. I mean, like,
bro, you got to get him on. You got to get
right?
him on.
I said, like, this is
say hello.
The dude. Well, I don't know where he's at. He's probably out in the hallway playing
well,
football.
tonight he's like, I don't care about these guys.
Yeah, so, but really that's my, not a tie-in, but it's something that's similar, I mean? Because I know that one day he's going to be one of those kids that recruiters are looking at. I mean, he's that good already. One of my buddies is Joe Moorhead, who's the coach up at Akron, who was at Mississippi State, obviously, before Mike Leach, and right. Also at Oregon. He saw my son's tape and he's like, yeah, he's doing some rare stuff already. So just, keep him, in line with what he's supposed to be doing. So when I talk to parents, I'm talking about things like, how'd you get your kids started? And then we just start regular conversations. And so that kind of plugs me in from that angle. But just reaching out, like we mentioned before, Josh Brooks, who's a friend of the program, all I did was text him and say, hey, congratulations on the AD job. And, I think you're going to do a bang out job. And here he is messaging me back, so, I think it's just being real, it's being open and honest with these guys. And I think that they respect the fact that I'm not going to go out there and bash them, bash the university, bash any of the players, anything like that. So I don't know. Just happens.
Well, I remember I think it was, man, I think I'm getting this right. One of your first episodes of 100 Sanford, fairly early on, you guys had Chris Milton on pretty early on, right?
Yeah.
I remember that. That was
Father of Ballers.
And it was the same thing, right? That was before Kendall signed. I mean, me and Chris were just chopping it up, and I said, hey, I like your kid. I think he's a good ball player. How did he get to this particular level? And then we just started chopping it up, and again, speed dial, another one of those guys that I could talk to whenever I need. And we haven't talked, there's things that we've talked about that haven't been about football. It's just been about life.
Yeah.
So, and I think when you're open and you're sincere with people just about, hey, let's just live. And this is a community of football, but there's other things outside of football. People trust you. And I trust them, quite honestly, more than anything.
Man,
which brings me to something else, quite honestly. I mean, it was like Todd McShay, right? I know we were going to talk about this later. It kind of pissed me off.
Yeah.
Where he comes out and he says something bad about Jalen Carter.
What? Did I miss this?
Have you not seen this? Oh, man.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah, John, that's breaking news. Breaking news.
Am I gonna be angry? I've been at kids' parties at school all day.
You are gonna be angry.
Oh Jesus!
So you can watch the video. So John Tweet Sports, shout out John Tweet Sports, another guy at Dawgs Central. He actually posted the video. So initially, I saw like someone had posted like a graphic with like a picture, and it said Todd McShay has said this, but I didn't see like a link or anything. John put the video out there, so it was like a segment on ESPN, and he like multiple times said something to the effect of the concern about Jalen Carter is character issues, which like. All of dog Twitter and Nation is like, what? What is he talking about?
How have I missed this? Golly, dude.
Yeah, it was
it's just another opportunity to drop my F around and find out GIF. I love when you have guests on, by the way, Lamar, so that I can always have a reason to drop that on a game week because I just inject it into my veins.
No, I mean, when I saw that, I got ticked off. And the reason why I got ticked off is because truly, I think he's a kid that's misunderstood. He's focused. He's been that way since his freshman year, right? Completely focused. He's dialed in. And not only that, he marches to the beat of his own drum. We had a chance last year. This is when NIL was first popping off to really contact him and his mom. And his mom is like a kind of a, quote unquote, like a manager, but she's a fantastic lady, and I think since they have everything buttoned up, people assume that it's like, okay, he's got an edge, an extra edge to him, or he's not, completely dialed in with the program, or he doesn't associate with everybody. Well, no, that's your perception because he's completely buttoned up and has has narrow focus on what his goals are. And his goals are to get to the NFL. The family's goals are to get to the NFL. So you can't just, say that the kid's he's got character issues because he's dialed in. And not only that, they show the video of the, I guess the warm-ups against Vanderbilt. Was it Vanderbilt that he did that with?
Oh, it was Missouri.
Missouri, where he's like basically telling those guys, like, guess who's coming? I am. It's a freight train coming at you. I mean, that happens. Guys always get into it. I mean, that's not a big deal. So why say a kid has, character issues right before he's about to be drafted? I mean, come on. I mean, why create that narrative? So it really pissed me off. I'll just be honest with you.
Well, I feel like it was weird coming from him.
I'm already furious, and I haven't even seen it. If Lamar is mad about it and he's brought it up already, I'm
because there's no reason for it, John. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's a narrative that he's a bad kid or a bad egg, let it play out. It was the same thing with George Pickens, right? I'm from Pittsburgh.
Well, all right. So I love Pickens. Just period, end of story. But like there were incidents that led to that narrative. Yeah. What incidents has Jalen Carter ever?
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It's the kind of thing where, like, to me,
I'm like want to punch someone right now. I'm so angry.
Well, like, sometimes things come out and it's like a team, like, is a team doing this to try to get him to drop to come to them kind of thing. But like, not that that's okay, right? But like, I'm always trying to figure out the why.
Is he an Ohio State guy?
Right. Yeah. But it's like, what's the why or whatever? And like, why would Todd McShay do that? I mean, and he said something along the lines of like, I'm getting this out ahead of you because this is going to come up and now you guys are hearing it from me first, kind of deal. I was like, whatever, man. Like, I don't.
And it made me think, okay, what has he heard? Has someone told him some information off the cuff that nobody else has heard? Right. I mean, I think we're all pretty dialed in. Dawgs Central as a whole was pretty dialed in, and we've never heard anything like that about Jalen Carter or anybody in the program, quite honestly. Yeah. So where do you get that information from? I think it just kind of upset me.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Missouri thing is the closest thing you can come to anything. But like you said, I mean, that was like, quick, a one-off thing that we had never seen before, haven't seen since. Because Kirby and company told him, hey, don't do that.
Yeah,
he
man.
hasn't done it again since. I mean, that was like super out of left field for me.
And if you go back to that Missouri game, it was more or less Missouri guys that were kind of prompting that behavior because they kept kind of, kind of baiting it, baiting the shark. And I don't know why you're going to put blood into the water. He's going to come after you and he's going to bite you. I mean, that's who he is.
Yeah. It was very, very weird.
Yeah. Todd McShay's he's from the north, man. He went to Richmond. He's from
went to Richmond. I can't wait till he comes back around here. I'm in Richmond, so if he comes back around here, I got him.
He's from Massachusetts. Like, he's a damn Yankee.
Hey, watch it, John.
Easy, John.
You're from LaGrange, bro. You're from LaGrange.
Yeah, family. The blood is from LaGrange, no doubt about it.
Where were you born?
No doubt about it. What's that?
Where were you born?
I was born in Pittsburgh.
You're born in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
family had already gone to Pittsburgh.
Family had already moved, man.
Yeah.
The great-grandfather had already taken everybody, bought a whole bunch of land, created some other businesses in Pittsburgh. So everybody's there.
Okay.
Blood, the blood from the ground, the ground pools, and it screams Georgia. There you go.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, seriously.
I love it.
There are exceptions.
Hey, I lived up there briefly. I was outside of Philadelphia, so Lamar, you definitely don't like that, I'm sure. But
no, I got that. You know what? With half the family went to Pittsburgh, the other some of the other boys went down to Philadelphia.
Okay.
I don't know why they didn't want to do like the family business. My great grandfather had like he had bars, he had some, did like farming, things like that. They wanted to get into the steel mills. So half went to Pittsburgh, the other half went to Levittown, right outside of Philadelphia.
Got it. Okay. Interesting.
Crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Man. The Lovelace clan.
Yeah, man.
We getting the history. I love it.
Yeah. And Wyclef Lovelace, he is related, but distant. I'm still trying to get him on the pod.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. What, Lamar, I did want to get your thoughts on, because we're a week out from early signing day being, it's next Wednesday. It's December 21st. And I guess like I'll make my comment and I guess you can react. Cause like for me, I missed the February signing day. Like early signing day sounded like a great idea when it was being floated. And it's like, kids are done with high school, let them go ahead and sign and don't have, no more contacts. They don't have to worry about anything for the rest of their high school career. They can enroll early, et cetera. But like the way it started to pan out and now like what used to be signing day is now like kind of a non-event. And then like, maybe it's also selfishness of like, we're always in this hunt, like we're in this playoff talk right now. And like, this is a distraction in the middle of, playoff preparation. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? How do you feel about it?
Mixed emotions.
Okay.
I like it from this standpoint. We are who we are right now. So it helps us. Right. So if we weren't in the playoff hunt, would we be getting some of the 5 stars that we're getting? Because they would never know. We wouldn't be getting some of the high 4 stars, right? They wouldn't be able to say to themselves, well, that's a program that I want to go to because they're winning. There's other programs that could say that. But at the very same time, with the portal now being opened, I don't know how much I like it. It's a weird dynamic. The portal was kind of upset the apple cart, so to speak. I mean, right now, there are spots being held open, not only by Georgia, but by other programs. Because they don't know, do we take this wide receiver transfer? Do we take this quarterback transfer? It's kind of upset that apple cart. But let's look at it from this angle as well. Most of our guys that have come in early have been prepared to play. Yeah. If you come in if you sign in February, you're not coming in until June to start your college career. These guys have already gotten 2 weeks of practice, or they'll get 2 weeks of practice in tow once they sign. They'll be able to see how things operate. They'll be able to get the playbook. They'll be able to see how Kirby and the culture move. That's a benefit to a team like Georgia. To other teams, it may not be because they're not practicing. I don't know. It's a mixed dynamic of what you like and what you don't like, but it is exciting. I think it used to be exciting in February when you know what I mean? Like it was like opening a Christmas gift. Now it's like, okay, I snuck into mom's closet. I figure out I'm going to get the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip, but is it really exciting when I open it up on Christmas Day? I don't know. I mean, that's the way it is right now. Right? So, I don't know. Tomatoes. It depends on what you like, and it depends on how it benefits you as a program. But I think for Georgia, it's definitely benefiting because everybody sees how dominant they are. They want to be in that mix. They want to be one of those players that sign early. Do they get a ring if they sign early?
Good question. I don't know. I would have to think no.
They're officially really part of the program. They're practicing, right? I know they get the gear. They probably get the Peach Bowl gear, they get the national title gear. But
that's part of the shtick, though, right? Like that's part of why like the teams like Georgia's got a lot of guys that are early enrolling, right? Like, hey, I'm going, I'm in.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is so that they don't get recruited over, right? Like, they don't get portaled over. Yeah. And I think that John to his like business profession, like he works in these companies that are startups and things like that are culture driven and in young thriving organizations that are like moving, like flying by the seat of your pants in technology. There has to be a good culture in order for that momentum to continue. And it's very similar to what Kirby has built. He's very, very focused on culture. And I heard, I can't remember who it was. I was listening to something. They were talking about like, the Georgias of the world, they're not taking transfers and things like that. But like ultimately like alluding to the fact that they're not the SEC schools that are storied, that are established, that are the Kirby Smarts and the Nick Sabans of the world. I mean, I would even go so far to say as like the Brian Kellys, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head, but like, they're recruiting certain like personas that you may be able to go take a bag. You may be able to, they're recruiting these people. They may be able to go to a lower tier school and catch a bag. Yeah. But if you want to come to Georgia, you want to compete for championships, like that also has value. And it's very much, it's exactly the same in the corporate world, man. There are companies that just have a reputation for, hey, you want to come here? You can come here. We're not going to pay you nearly as much as what you can make somewhere else. But after you leave here, you can make whatever you want. You can write your own check. You can like if you worked for Google, if you worked for Apple back in the day, you worked for Coca-Cola here in Atlanta, you work for Home Depot here in Atlanta. You can pretty much do whatever you want. Chick-fil-A, good gracious, if you get through that recruiting process, I've been through it. It sucks. Shout out to anybody that wants to hire me at Chick-fil-A. But listen, like there's value that comes with a name on a resume. And if you come to Georgia, like there's a statement that you're making to the world that, hey, I'm legit. I've been through, I've got the best coaches in the world. I've got the best process in the world. I've got the best resources in the world. Alabama's the same thing, man. Like maybe it's there's definitely like cracks in the armor over there, right? But like there's value in where you go. And so if you can do that, like there's if you want to be at the best, you gotta go where the best are, right?
Yeah. I agree. And I think that's a selling point. And that's how we've flourished in that realm. I think, Lamar, my issue is like, I tend to be a victim of nostalgia. I should probably get over it since we're in like, these are the good old days right now. Kind of thing. But like, it is I just remember like, not even that he ended up transferring, but like Isaiah Crowell holding up the Bulldog. Like, I don't know, like just like the things like that, like on National Signing Day in February, like stick out in my mind. And like, I just remember like in Athens, everyone would go to the Blind Pig Tavern, right? And like that was the place to be on signing day or whatever. And like that, like the signing day kind of like national holiday for college football fans, I feel like is gone now. And maybe that shouldn't really matter, I guess. And also
Jim just wants the fax machine running. He wants the camera on the fax machine. He wants the fax machine. Hold on. Can I see the name? What name is that? What is that?
The fax machine.
Well, I think the problem has really been social media, right? I think we would still have that even with an early signing day. We would have that opening up a new gift on Christmas Day type thing if we didn't have social media. But now, everybody displays where they're going. They give their hints. They have to have a video done by Trey. They have to have, Georgia put out a video about the kids coming. Kirby has to say, go Dogs. It used to be back in the day, you didn't get that, right? You just showed up on signing day and all of a sudden you figured out who was coming to your school. Right. I think the times just changed and, we just got to kind of move with it.
Yeah. Shout out to TT7 Productions, not a sponsor yet.
Awesome.
Shout out to Trey. And my guy Mitch Pike. Mitch
is good, dude. Mitch
man, he does all
tagging the boys.
Yeah, he does all of our graphic edits, man. He's been phenomenal for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys want to hit any of the other things. I think we had a couple of small things, but you guys want to hit on that? Because we can wrap if y'all are. If we're winding down.
Man, I can literally do this all night, man.
Well, I could too. I'm trying to be respectful of Lamar's time.
Yeah, I tell you what, wifey just came through and the son just came down the hall and he's like, okay, we're going to throw a football down the hallway or whatever. Yeah. So I got a few minutes, but I could do this all day, every day. It's just what I do, man. I love that.
I think the biggest regret is that we've waited so long to do this. I gotta tell you, Lamar, John has sent me some like direct text just to me, like, we have got it. Why? How have we not had Lamar? Like, how have we not done this yet? I was like, you're right.
You guys are welcome anytime to come on, anytime at all. It's not like, I feel like it's more the merrier, especially since, we're all part of Dawgs Central. But I think that you get so many collective ideas and thoughts when you have different minds and look at the game from different angles, right? But it's funny because, some of the things that John's even been talking about today, I was literally driving to work thinking about the same things, right?
Yeah.
The things that we brought up about, Mike Leach. I was thinking about those driving to work. Stacey Searles. I was thinking about driving to work. I mean, I was pissed off at Stacey Searles halfway through the season. George had to calm me down. But now he really did. But when you look at what they're doing now, it's like, man, just let the process play out. But when you have guys like us that can get together, it's natural therapy. Right?
Yeah. Let's get together after the Peach Bowl and just do a recap, everybody. Like, I agree. In my opinion, like the more the merrier, like you said, like we can do our own recap episode. And then after, like, let's just cherish this, man. Cause we've only got a handful of games left. Like, let's just stretch it out, like eke it out. Like I'll take all the squeeze I can get out of all of us, man.
Yeah. I hear you.
Awesome. Well, I know. So programming note. So for My God podcast on our side, we'll definitely have an Ohio State, Peach Bowl preview coming up. Lamar, if you're listening on the 100 Sanford side, I mean, you guys are pretty consistent Thursday, Friday, right?
Yeah.
Every week. I know I'm sure you've got all those, the weekly cadence still lined up. Assuming, am I correct? Not to put words in your mouth, Lamar.
No, you're 100% correct. I think we may have Maurice Clarett back on, but we'll have somebody on. We'll definitely preview the Ohio State game, and after that, whether it's TCU, whether it's Michigan, whoever it may be, we're gonna preview that as well and kind of dig deeper into it. But it's been nice to kind of have a couple weeks off, though, right? Just kind of breathe a little bit after this big time season. But it's been phenomenal. It's been a phenomenal run.
Meanwhile, you have Carter, who's like, "Where's all the episodes? Can I get on something? So if you're a My God podcast listener, you got Carter. You got the Carter Chronicles waiting on you. My son, like Lamar, that's what I say. Like if you give that boy an inch, he'll probably take a mile, because my son, like once he came on, he's like, okay.
What's my next appearance?
Well, it's funny.
Logan Booker, bless his heart, has just like fed the beast.
I started doing videos for him. Trey got me started on this, but I started doing like little videos and cut ups of his games and whatnot. And he loves it. After every game, he's like, "Dad, did you do my video yet?" And I'm like, "Dude, calm down." He's like, "Okay, I want this music. I want this, this look." And I'm like, "Are you serious?" I mean, he's only 8, But
you got an Instagram page?
He loves it. Not specifically for him. No, I got my own, but even on TikTok, I'll put a couple of his videos up and
I started so Carter plays elite level soccer.
Nice.
And so a lot of the friends that he has that we play on some of these teams, they have their own Instagram pages. So I would encourage you to start posting on his own page, even though he may not have access to it. And Carter definitely doesn't. But like, I keep all that stuff there. Otherwise, my content feed, at one point, my content feed was like all Carter, and I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I need to.
The best is when John accidentally sends me an Instagram DM from Carter's account and not his. I'm like, why is Carter sending me DMs on Instagram?
Okay, here's an interesting note. You guys always do like fun facts on your show. See, I listen.
Here we go.
You talk about elite level soccer. Well, one, I guess Richmond is huge for soccer. I mean, we have the strikers.
Oh, for sure,
all over the place.
Virginia, UVA is. I mean, Syracuse just won the national championship.
That's right. So you talk about UVA. One of my teammates that played with me in basketball, in All Stars and camps and whatnot, was Eddie Pope, the USA defenseman. I've been trying to reach out to him. I can't get a hold of him, but I just wanted to bring him on just to talk about soccer, even though
bro,
it has nothing to do with Georgia. But still, just bring him on.
Look, we can do that in the off season. Let's get British Bulldog on. We can get like our own. Jim's like nightmare scenario is that me and British Bulldog start a Manchester United podcast. But yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
I remember him. I threw him an alley oop, right? And he could jump out the gym. And I was like, man, where are you going?
I believe it.
Yeah, man. I said, where are you going? Yes, where are you headed to? Because we had a bunch of different guys from different places that were playing in our camp. He goes, believe it or not, I'm really good at soccer. And I looked at him, I'm like, I've never even met a black dude who plays soccer. You know, I'm from Pittsburgh. What are you talking about? You're good at soccer, man. We don't play soccer.
Dude,
right?
He's
a monster.
He was a beast.
Yeah, he was a monster. And I
we
didn't believe him.
We talk about this. All right, so what you just described, like, we're completely effing off the rails, Jim. But like you talk about that, but like people joke about, like, you know, you said he was basketball. Was it basketball?
Yeah, it was basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, he played.
So
he played
the context that you have of him is basketball, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these football players, you know, they're really good at basketball too. Well, there's a lot of basketball players that are really good at other sports, and there's a lot of soccer players that are really good at other sports. And there's like this undercurrent. I saw it today, actually. Like, hey, like, let's maybe just like silence the chatter of what happens if the US's best athletes, like, they made some comments about how Luka Modric would not be an elite athlete in the United States, and I'm like, hold up, timeout, like, like. I disagree with that statement. Because
totally disagree.
Because you've got guys like in the NBA, like, literally, that were like some of the greatest of all times that would be fantastic midfielders, that would be fantastic wingers. Like, if we had our best athletes in the United States playing soccer, like, we would be much further along than what we are right now. And so like, I totally agree. Like, Eddie, like, when you say, like, oh wait, what, you play soccer? Like, dude.
Yeah, I mean, that was years ago. Obviously, I'm dating myself, but still, I mean, I looked at him and I was like, there's no flipping way. And he was, you know, I can't remember where Eddie grew up, whether it was Virginia or it was Maryland. But he said, no, bro. He said, I'm I'm gonna go on and play soccer. I'm like, why are you even here then? He's like, well, you know, I gotta weigh my options, you know, whatever it may be. But yeah, he was phenomenal. And I agree with you. I think if some of our best athletes decided to play soccer, heck, my son's getting into soccer again this summer. You know, he did it when he was back in Houston when we were there. But COVID kind of upset that, but he's getting back into it now. I think it helps with footwork. I think it helps with speed, agility, you know, hand-eye coordination, all that good stuff. And I think our athletes would really dominate if they really decided to get into soccer.
Don't let me go off on my multi-sport athlete rant, Lamar, because that is my one thing. Like, so much specialization, right? Like, you don't get to play everything like you did when we were kids. But
true.
I am going to go off on a little bit of a rant on this, but I'll tell you. So a lot of the alumni that I know that were lettermen, like, I know some guys that played back when we were in school, and they won't let their kids play football until they get physically to a point where they feel like that they are ready to play, because of the toll that football takes. Like you said, your kid's in flag football.
Yeah.
That to me is great. Like, and some of the feedback that I've gotten from some of the players is that soccer is actually like a better training facility for football later in life, because of the spatial recognition that you have to have in order to get in behind defenders, to physically run down the field and make those cuts and make those accelerations and short cuts and short bursts and things like that. I'll give you, I think I texted it to you, but I'll put it out in the podcast form. But there's a documentary that is called Good Rivals on Amazon Prime. Everybody's got Amazon, right? So go and check it out. It is a fantastic documentary on the United States versus Mexico rivalry. And if you listen to it, it's a documentary on the rivalry of the United States-Mexico soccer rivalry, which is fantastic. And it talks about geopolitical, all those types of things. But one of the biggest things that I benefited from was just how young the game of soccer is in the United States, because you listen to what happened in the documentary and it's like, holy shit. Like, this game has really only been taken seriously by people that have money and power to make things happen since 1986. I was 5 years old at that time. I wasn't even part of the vision for what that would take to make this thing seriously. Yes. Carter, my son, and your son, Lamar, and our kids are solidly in what would be the vision for what that might look like to get to the point. And think about how long it's taken UGA to get where we are in football to be at the dominant level. There's a joke that Tony Waller used to say on the Bulldog blog was, there's a difference between being committed to winning and being financially committed to winning. The United States of America is now financially committed to winning, and what you're seeing is progressive advancement in that regard.
Yeah. And that's what it took. That's what it took in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Too. I mean,
Exactly.
It's not just Kirby. It's Kirby plus that. So
it's Kirby plus the commitment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice. All right, Lamar, this has been awesome, man. I appreciate you.
Great.
Always. Shout out to George Foster also for hopping on for a bit. Always fun to talk to him. It was a blast. And I thought maybe we could do a bit of a mashup. So I'm going to kick this off. I kind of wanted to close out with Go Dogs and see you at 100 Sanford.
See you at 100 Sanford.
Go Dogs. See you at 100 Sanford.
Wait, you got to say what George says. All right now.
All right now.
Love it.